See that thumbnail still hitting. About the surname you thumbnail. All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. All right, coming back with another Sabbath sanctuary through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Right, Lord, has the mercy upon us once again to speak His word. Lord willing, edify the elect, all right, of the house of David, right, the elect of Israel, which is the house of David, rather. Okay, about the upcoming events, the prophecies, right, the judgments, right, the things that we see through the Spirit, is taking place, which is all according to the will of the Father, to bring in, usher in the kingdom of heaven, right, which will be a kingdom of righteousness, as the Scripture says, right, a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. And as the title reads, this is a Sabbath Sanctuary episode 45, a year you will never forget. Okay, and speaking about this, so-called New Year 2026, as brothers see, right, what's happening, what's going on, as far as the events that's taking place, um, it's showing you that things are going to change here, right? Life as you know it is going to change, within Babylon the Great, right? Immensely, okay, to a point where it's going to be a year like you would never forget, sort of like how 2020 was, right? Where from 19 to 20, everybody sees that as a new chapter, right? When you want to look back in time and you say, or when did things start to look, different or start to feel different? Everybody points to, March of 2020 when the shutdown happened and, life as you used to know it stopped existing. And that's why people called, and they was coming out and saying it, right? A new normal, right? A great reset. And all of that is still in the process. And what they're doing now is putting that into hyperdrive. Um, I did a video earlier today where you had a CEO, right, of a cybersecurity company that basically went on CBS and overtly spoke about the need of the government to control social media platforms, right, and to stack rank authenticity, of content, and with doing so, that would basically um, be a mechanism and be a way for them to be able to control, right, the content that is actually being put out on social media, which, as we always say, is a backhanded way of this devil censoring the word of the Lord, right, which is all according to the prophecy of the famine of the hearing of the word. All right, you have the wars brewing up, okay, where you got regular people being able to see how things are becoming more and more, intensified when it comes to the war. Um, you have the super flu, over here in Jersey, they're saying that there's a new strain. I think it might be in America, but I was seeing on Jersey sites where it's saying that there's a new strain of the flu, which is a lot more contagious, right? And things like that. It's like every year now, that's just like the new rhetoric when it comes to these viruses, when it comes to these sicknesses. It's always stronger. It's always different. It's always more illness, and it makes people sick. And it's like the Lord told you, right, that you were going to hear pestilences. So everything that is happening is all aligned with the prophecies of the coming of the day of the Lord. I can just pull that up real quick just to start us off with something. In the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, verse 3, it says, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Okay, so these things that we're witnessing are the signs, right, of the return of Yahushua. And this is why we have to be very diligent in watching for these things, right? Because just as easy as it is for us, to see these things, it's easier for people to miss these things, right? Especially if you're not in tune with the spirit, especially if you are overcharged with the cares of this world, in which those things are only, becoming more and more problematic, right? The cost of living, okay, just people not having jobs, all these things, so many cares are happening that people are not really able to pay attention to the signs that the Lord is really showing. Although you have that notion of people saying like, "Oh, it feels like the end of the world," but it's way deeper than just saying that, right? It comes with an actual change in your life, and it's not going to be a change for the better, especially if you're not in tune with the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai, because the Lord is only going to deliver those that are watching, those that are found worthy to escape these things. So you can feel like it's the end of the world, but once you're in it, it's not going to be just something you can just say. It's going to be a reality that you got to deal with, and this is why, we do these lessons. This is why we are so adamant, through the spirit about how serious this is, right? This work that we're doing. Um, so it says, what should be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world, right? And as we know, we don't got to read it all, but Yahweh Shai goes into various different events that will be taking place on the earth. And as we see, right, this year, a lot of these events, seem like they're about to reach the boiling point, right? The wars, the nation against nation, the pestilence, all these things appear to be at the tipping point. So this is why we have, through the spirit, have that title as a year you will never forget. So I'll pass it. Any brother want to jump in?
Got a quick precept um, here in the book of Luke 18, because similar to what you said, at the same time, you're also seeing faith. It's an interesting relationship, because faith in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai overall is decreased, to like an all-time low in the earth. Okay, but at the same time, it is increased to an all-time high amongst the elect. So it's like, as the entirety of the planet, reduces in faith, it's almost like it's being all culminated within one tiny portion, which is the remnant. Okay, and that's separating the believers in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai from the world even more. Okay, on the faith scale. So as we're seeing more and more of these things happening, and these people, which are a part of the world, are becoming more and more faithless by seeing these signs, which are making people faithless, because now they're transitioning their faith into modern day idolatry, which is trusting in this so-called science. Okay, that's what Esau has done. If you look at all the other kinds of pagan worship in the ancient world, they were a bit more gruesome. So what Esau did with his deception is he made it look nice. He made it look cheerful. He added, colors and music to it to make it look like it's a festive thing, but in actuality, it goes back to pagan rituals. So that entices people to want to do it more and bypass their mental defenses, that they're actually going blatantly into the left hand side of idolatry. Okay, but for us, who the Lord has opened our eyes, we're able to see these things, getting closer and closer, like the Zaquan mentioned. Okay. And that's why the Lord mentioned, then shall they be known who am I chosen. Because when he finally lifts that covering, right, that's been cast over the people, he lifts that veil, people are gonna see reality for what it is. It's like being in a bus, right, that's driving you to some prison camp. But what they've done is they've painted over the windows some nice, pleasant pictures. So whenever these people that are in the bus look out, they just see like a nice, beautiful, area. But in actuality, if you were to look outside the bus, you'd see, you in some secluded Rikers Island type location that you're not you're not finna come back from. So this is Luke chapter 18, verse 7. It says, "And shall not God avenge his own elect?" I'm just getting straight to the point, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them. And the reason why the Lord bears long with us is for our own betterment. Okay, because through this long suffering, I heard a saying that was, if you If you wanted to, if, say you created a world and you had a person in there and you wanted to teach them patience, would you just give them everything right away to whoever it is? No, you'd probably drag things out, right, to teach them patience. Same thing, you wanted to teach them discipline, you wouldn't just, have everything be easy for them. You give them a hard life. So in the Lord bearing long with us, he's actually benefiting us and teaching us, one, to be long suffering, but we're learning through this. Experiences that you just breeze through, you don't remember. Okay. But when it's impactful and it's long and you're stuck in it, you actually start to learn from it. And that's what the Lord is basically doing to us. So verse 8, it says, I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on earth? Okay, and that's the question. Not amongst these people, he's not, at least not faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, but amongst his elect, he will. And that's why it's going to be so easy to spot out the elect. There's people can't see it with their carnal eyes, but faith is like an aura that surrounds each and every one of the Lord's elect, and it's shining very, very bright. So you're not gonna come before an angel or come before the Lord and say, "Oh Lord, no, but I believed." They're gonna look at you and they're not gonna see the aura of faith around you. So it's no debate. That's why the Lord isn't coming to discuss. All right. The scriptures tell you that, Israel draws near to the Lord with their words, but their deeds and their heart is far from him. And that's why the Lord said, the scriptures say that the Lord doesn't see as man does. He sees inwardly, he sees the aura. So when he comes, he doesn't need to talk to you because he can see it on you. All right. And that's not something you can hide. We have, the carnal eyes, so to speak, and you can discern to a degree, but you have a lot of BS artists out here who make it seem like, through smooth words, through excuses, and through, whatever cunningly devised fables, they like to pass off themselves as faithful. Okay, but in actuality, the true faith you can't hide from the Lord. So when these things that start to take place on the earth start happening, you're going to see just how quickly the divide between the believers and the non-believers is going to be, escalated. Just like during the CV. During the CV, we literally sat here and watched from point before it happened. We told you what was going to happen, what they were going to do, and the things not to fear. And we watched as in the beginning, it was almost like everybody was on the same page, saying the same thing, right? You even had different so-called leaders of different groups saying, nah, don't take that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we ain't gonna take that. We never gonna take that, blah, blah, blah. And then came the mandates. See, that's when everything changed. When it was just them coming out with something, oh yeah, this is it's artificial. You know how Esau does. But all of a sudden, when the difficulties came, then it switched. Talking about I take two or three of them bad boys, right? Go and take it anyway. Right. So we saw that when the hardship hit, those that stood firm for the Lord, look, we all in the same place. We still got jobs. You got people that work at the same place as others who have it and they don't. And you say, well, when you look at yourself inwardly, you should see that you lack faith in the pre-test. How do you then expect to pass the actual final, pass the actual test? Because the MOTB is not going to be like the CV. You could get around with the CV. You could find ways, you could do what you got to do. When the MOTB comes out, that's everywhere. It's like a beast, as it says. And this is AI. You know what I mean? Like this ain't oh, you know what, just pass me this off the books or off the counter. No, this is artificial intelligence everywhere. You're not gonna try to pass off as, oh, I don't have a digital ID, but I'm gonna just, no, you're not. You're not. And that's why it's gonna take that faith. That's why the Lord said he is gonna have to keep us in that time. And when that happens, just like Egypt is spoken about till today, that time when these prophecies that have hit this pinnacle, right, they've culminated to this peak, unleash, okay, and we hit that the climax of the movie, nobody's ever gonna forget that because it's gonna be things never before seen in every facet, in destruction, in deliverance, in faith, okay, seeing things on the right hand that you've never seen or experienced before, at the same time seeing things on the left hand that you've never seen or experienced before. So literally everything is going to be raised back up to the supernatural as it was back in the beginning. But that's going to be through, a shock to this world system. But Ebrus got it.
Yeah, Khan.
just to continue with the point brothers is making. All right, I believe Zaquan, you brought out a precept in Matthew the 24th chapter going into the signs, right? And as a prophet, what is the biggest thing you're going to always do is to watch for the signs, right? That's why Habakkuk said that. He said that I will stand upon my tower, upon my watch, all right, to wait for what the Lord is going to tell me, what he's going to show me, right? So you're always on your watchtower, you're always watching, all right? You're watching for the signs, okay? The signs of what? The signs of the end, okay? And we're in the same spirit that the apostles were, the disciples who then became apostles. The same spirit that they were in is the same spirit we're in, right? They were hastening onto the coming of the day of the Lord. All right, they were hastening for the kingdom, and they were asking for signs. Like, Lord, what is going to be the sign? Like, what do we need to look out for? Right? You talking about this kingdom? Like, you've told us all these things. We believe it. Right? We can't wait to get there. But when is it going to happen? Because you here, right? But then that's what the Lord says. No, you don't know the day or the time. No man. All right, but I will show you signs. Okay, and some of the signs, or if not most of the signs that we're seeing right now, are all in the scriptures as indicators of the times that we're in. Okay. Signaling, as Yahushua said, the beginning of sorrows. The same sorrows that Yahushua spoke of, Ezra spoke about those things. Okay? Jeremiah spoke about those things. Isaiah spoke about those things. Daniel spoke about those things. These are all prophets that spoke about the same exact time, man. Okay? And we're living in those times, and it's about to get even crazier and intensified. Hence, a year you will never forget. Okay? A time like never before is a year you will never forget. All right? And that's coming for you women. That's coming for you men. That's coming for you children. All right. Because this is a blanket thing. All right. This is how the end, actually how the end is witnessed. As is documented in the scriptures, we're actually seeing it playing out. Okay. There's a book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, in verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Right. Meaning the dividing of times. Right. We talk about the signs. Yahushua talks about the kingdom. Well, the kingdom we know is not here on the earth right now, right? Look at the debauchery in which we're living in. Look at the corruption, right? Look at the evil times. Look at the scary times. Look at the troublous times that we're in, okay? Nothing is the same anymore. There's confusion everywhere. There's incontinency everywhere, okay? There's falsehoods everywhere, all right? Danger everywhere. I mean, it's just hell, literally, okay? And from that hell, you're not going to have the kingdom of heaven in that hell. That hell has to end for the kingdom to what? To start. Okay? You got to have that difference. So that parting asunder of times is what? The dividing of times, meaning what is the differentiation between this time we're in and the next one to come? Right? The one that the Lord promised, even spoke to Ezra and said, this world now is for many, but the one to come for a few. We're looking for that world. You see, that world is clearly not here. And those of us who have the mind of that world, we're not welcome here. We know that. Okay? So it says what? It says, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Okay? Understanding that there is a life that comes after the destruction that happens to this place. All right? There's the real world that comes. There's not America gets destroyed and then that's it. Oh, the judgment day and then we just done. No. Okay? That's the beginning of the new chapter. Just like how after the flood, you had a beginning of a new chapter. Same thing that's going to happen. The flood was used as a purifier. The Lord is going to use this fire, the thermonuclear destruction, to purify the earth again, renew the earth again. Okay? And that fear alone is going to renew people's minds. 1,000 years, they're going to know, like, yo, we saw it. We witnessed what happened to America. Like, it's something that could have never, ever imagined. Bro, they're making America the hub for data centers, right? The head of the beast system itself. They want to build it here in America. Guess what? It's all going to go up in flames, just like that. Okay? And that's why we read in Revelation 18. Them flames that's going up, your data centers is part of them flames that's going up, nigga. So you spending $500 billion on Stargate, guess what? You get ready for flame up. All right? America's about to be decimated off the face of the earth, man. Okay? So it says what? It says verse 8. And that's going to be the marking of the new beginning. All right? Seeing America's destruction, man. All right? It says, and he said unto me, 2 Ezra 6 and 8, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, right? Those same guys are back here again. Jacob and Esau. And come 2026, you're going to see that push from Esau against Jacob. Okay? You're going to see that. It's called Jacob's trouble. Why? Because Jacob is the main target of Esau's wrath. All right. They don't care about these other nations. These other nations are already in league with them. They already have them in their back pocket. It's you Israelites who are waking up to who you are. All right. That is the problem for them. Okay. So Esau versus Jacob, back in the frame again. It says Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Okay. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So that's the sign right there. Okay. When the disciples asked the Lord, what are the signs? One of the signs is who's going to be in rulership today? Okay. Who's going to be the one to make that war against Yahushua and his angels when he comes back? It's not going to be us making that war. Okay. So who's on the earth right now who has the power to do those things? Esau, Edom. Okay. And you don't need to look any further than what nation on this earth right now is working on technology specifically to fulfill this prophecy. There's only one people. Okay. So it's very clear where we are in prophecy, right? It's very clear what's about to happen in prophecy. It's very clear what happens after the things that we've talked about in prophecy. Okay? Because it's all leading in succession, literally step by step by step. We've seen it all. We've seen it all, man. Okay? So Tuwariya Bashim Al-Shai, like Zaquan, you said, you got people who are seeing these things, but they can't connect the dots. All right, they just saying, oh, we living in biblical times. This is all in the Bible. What Bible are you talking about? What precepts are you talking about? You're just saying it. Right? It's end time prophecies, but what prophecy are you actually talking about? Right? We go into the details, we go into the specifics, we tell you what's going on, we show you what's going on. All right? And they deem us anti-Sem, and they deem us all kinds of shit. What's going on there? See? Yeah, brothers got it.
It has something in the Psalms real quick. This is the book of Psalm 75 and 1. It says, to the chief musician, Al-Taskif, a psalm or a song of Asaph, unto thee, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, do we give thanks? Unto thee do we give thanks, for that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. And, ultimately his name is going to be glorified through those works that the brother's been speaking on and what we're about to see in this year coming up. The Lord's name is going to be magnified by everything that's about to play out. You have so many different things going on, and it's January 2nd, but just give it, it ain't like things was just going to pop on the first day, but we know how they work. And paying attention to what's happening, you have the blockade with Venezuela, and right now that's a big point of contention for China, but they're over there still doing trade. They're straight disrespecting Trump and his blockade. They don't give a damn. Okay, so they're still making it happen, still conducting commerce and still disrespecting them. So everything Esau's doing is an act of desperation at this point. And as the Lord is judging, bringing this man's kingdom down, he's going to have him doing things where he makes a fool out of himself. But it says, when I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. Okay. And when you read it in the NLT, it says, God says, at the time I have planned, I will bring justice against the wicked. And that's what we're waiting on. And that's what we are paying attention to. The signs of the times and the signs of what's coming. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. So basically the Lord is saying, he's going to destroy the wicked, and many of the inhabitants of the earth are going to be destroyed in that time. All right, and this is the point here. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked lift not up up the horn. And the horn in the scriptures is dealing with power. So the Lord basically is telling them to not be boastful and prideful against him. All right, it says here, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. And everything they're doing, as the brother Aharon mentioned, the AI, it's a lot of prideful things that they're doing, and raising up this beast system and thinking that this is all there ever will be. You see, and the amount of power that it's going to take to power all of these things, the pollution, everything is going to destroy the earth even further. But what does it say in Revelation? That the Lord will destroy those that destroy the earth. So, everything they're doing is not going to prevail. And they are speaking boastfully against the power of heaven and earth. So every time a nation spoke boastfully against the Lord, what happened in the scriptures? He judged them. He destroyed them. One example that comes to mind is y'all brothers, I'll be forgetting names, but in Isaiah 37:38, what was the Assyrian general that came up against the Lord? Sennacherib. Sennacherib, right?
Yeah, I think that was the king of Assyria at the time. He sent was it Rabsaris and Rapshakeh? Those are the
Yep,
generals that he sent.
those two, kind of the water. So yeah, but what were they doing? They were speaking boastfully against the Lord. All right, they was talking that hot shit, and against the Lord's anointed, against at the time Hezekiah and Isaiah, okay, and the rest of the remnant that was still in the land. And the Lord basically said, that matter of fact, let me see if I can find it, that the daughter of Zion has shake her head at you or something like that. Let me just see if I can pull it up, real, or if one of you brothers could find it, you can just bring it out real quick. I got it. It's Isaiah 37:22. This is the word. Let me read 21. Then Isaiah the son of Amos said unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Yahweh, power of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word which Yahweh Shem Yahushua have spoken concerning him. And you can insert Esau Edom in this stead of this story, applying it to now. All right, the virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee. And who's that? Israel. And in these times, specifically the elect, right? That's the virgin, right? When you deal with the virgin, who's it talking about? That's the Lord's wife. And the Lord is only dealing with the elect. It says, and laugh thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. So every time you see us on these videos speaking out about against what these elites are doing, we're shaking the head at them. We're basically rebuking them. All right. That's why I said the daughter of Jerusalem have shaken her head at thee. And that's why it says, cry aloud, spare not. Okay. Which is what we're doing on the highways and hedges and through these lessons. All right. Shaking the hand, rebuking them. And yet they're still puffed up. Okay. They don't want to acknowledge what's going on. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel? And that's what they're really speaking against. They speak against us and they demonize us, but really it's our God that they have the problem with. And we're just his messengers. It's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. That's why when you had the anti-Sem thing, which that's another major thing that's going to pop off this year, they had that sign where it said Yahweh Shah is coming, and then they put that on the news, as though like that's the worst thing that could be. And when I saw that it reminded me of the scripture that says spiritual Sodom in Egypt, where they crucified our Lord, because basically that's what they're doing by denigrating his name, by throwing dirt and slandering against Yahweh Shah's name. All right, it says. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it. I'm gonna just stop. I'll stop at that part. But basically, you get the point. They're speaking against the Lord boastfully, and the Lord is gonna have an answer for them. All right, in the form of judgment, and all of the prophecies, slowly but surely coming to pass. And we're in the time of them speeding up. But you got it.
Yeah, Khan. And as y'all were talking, it made me think about the scripture here because really what we're saying, all right, about this year that you're never going to forget. This is real. All of this is just cultivating the end of Esau's age, right? This is what this is all about, right? Which it goes deeper than just Esau himself, but really it taps into the left hand, the wicked, right, being in authority. That's why the scripture speaks about that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and for a time period, they've had dominion, right? They've had the ability to spread wickedness, right? And as Bakar was speaking about, it's not as if it was back in the ancient times where it was so overt, where you could see human sacrifices, although they still do those things, right? But it was more overt back then. But what Esau has done as being that great deceiver, right? The great, the divinator or divinator. Um, he's able to make it look right, appealing and beneficial, right? He's able to turn light and darkness into light, and light into darkness. So what needs to happen, which is what the Lord has done initially with the prophesying, right, the service of the prophets, is to reveal the wicked, right, and to bring out the actual light of Yahweh, right. In this world of darkness, a lot of people see that light as really being blinding, right? And as Yahweh said, right, it's because they that love darkness, they hate the light, because what does it do? It shines the light on their wicked deeds, right? It shines the light on their evilness, and they don't want to have to deal with that, right? They don't want to have to deal with the either turning, repenting, or getting the judgment that is ultimately set for them for not repenting. But here in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 13, it says, I'm reading this in the NLT. It says, but you are, actually, you know what? Let me start at 12. It says, O Lord, my God, my Holy One, you who are eternal, surely you do not plan to wipe us out. O Lord, our rock, you have sent these Babylonians to correct us, to punish us for our many sins. Right. And this is, the mindset that the hopeful elect has, right? Because here in captivity, because of the captivity, we remembered ourselves, right? We now, thought upon his name. We're amending our ways, right? And reason, as it says in Isaiah 1 and 18, the Lord said, come and reason together with me. So we have to, we have humbled ourselves, right? Through the captivity, through the hell, right? Through the persecution that the Lord did by way of Esau, his left hand. And now we're beseeching the Lord to restore us, right? And we know that the reason why we're in this position is because of our sins. So this is why, we repent and we turn back and we try to, live upright before the Lord. Verse 13, it says, but you are pure and cannot stand the sight of evil. Will you wink at their treachery? Should you be silent while the wicked swallow up people more righteous than they? Right. And this is the same complaint that Ezra had, I believe, in Second Ezra, the third chapter. When he was in Babylon, he was seeing the prosperity of them, but he was also seeing the wickedness that they were doing. And he said, what? That are these people of Babylon more righteous than Israel? That they surely can't be. And when you look at how Esau and the people of this world act, you can see just how wicked they are, to the point where they don't even try to hide their wickedness. Isaiah, the third chapter, speaks about that, right? The show of their countenance doeth the witness against them, right? They declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. So Esau, in the vibration that he has put on, right, the people that have taken on his vibration, rather, they're not ashamed of their wickedness. They're not ashamed of their evilness, right? They do it openly, right, and boastfully and proudly. So although it's not in the same sense as being committing or it's human sacrificing, right? But look at the mindset of abortions. Like, that's something that people have normalized in this society, right? And that's just something small. Well, not really small, but that's just one example of how people are wicked. Sodomy is just it's very normalized. You have a lot of evil and wicked things that are normalized in the society. And the question is, will the Lord, who cannot stand the sight of evil, will he just continue to let this, go down? Will he continue to let this happen? And the answer is no. And how we know that is because of the things and the events that you're seeing taking place, right? The signs of the Lord drawing nigh unto this place. As it says in Second Ezra, the 9th chapter, it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? The visitation of the Lord is due to the Lord's indignation, right? Second Ezra 15 speaks about their hurtful works are fulfilled. So he will no longer suffer them to, continue in their evil deeds, roughly paraphrasing. So this is this is the position that we're in right now. And because of that, right, we have been declaring the end of this age, right? Esau, he sees that, he knows, right? He sees the prophets, right? Whether you got, demons on the left-hand side telling him, because the scriptures tells you that he knoweth he has but a short time. This is why you have him moving so fast in trying to build this system, right? And at the same time, he is looking at ways to try to silence those that are speaking out against it, okay? Because the end, right, is coming, right? And here in Ezekiel, the 7th chapter, it says, where is it? Verse 5, it says, thus saith Yahweh power, and evil and only evil, behold, is come. Meaning what? Bad times, right? This is what is coming to this age. It's only evil coming to this age. Why? Because wickedness is greatly polluted this place. So what is the fruit of wickedness? Evil, bad times, right? The fruit of righteousness would be good times. The fruit of wickedness would be bad times. That is why when the kingdom of heaven comes, wherein dwelleth righteousness, is going to be what? Peace. It's going to be order. It's going to be stability, right? But when you have a earth or a earth, yeah, that dwelleth wickedness, then you're going to only have evil times. But this is only for a certain amount of time, because as we read in Habakkuk, the Lord can't stand the side of evil, but He allows it to take place for the story's sake. But ultimately, there comes a point where the Lord is going to intervene and He's going to stop the time of evil, as it says here, verse 6. An end is come, the end is come, it watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. And when you go into this word, or should I say, you read this in a different translation, read this in the NIV, it says, the end has come, the end has come. It has roused itself against you. See it comes. And another one in ESV, it says, an end has come, the end has come. It has awakened against you. Behold, it comes. And that is what is taking place right now. The end has now awakened against Esau, against this age, right? That is why the scripture speaks about that is Esau is the end of the world. Now that the truth has gone out, right? The prophets have prophesied, and Lord willing, the elect is sealed or just about sealed. The next thing is what? The end of this age, because the elect they don't inherit this age. They don't inherit this wicked kingdom, right? They inherit the kingdom to come, and the kingdom to come comes by way of this age ending, which is why the disciples asked the Lord, which should be the end of the world. So now that the end of the world is aroused, or it's awakened, right? It's awakened to do what? To meet thee at thy coming. Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? the age, the time, because the Lord set things in a specific time. This time period is the time period where the death really for Esau and his world is now meeting him, and they're on a crash course collision, and only one road. There's only one path. You see, and and everything he's trying to do is trying. And it's funny because I did a video yesterday. They're trying to use AI, use chips, use technology to conquer death. And what they're actually doing is bringing themselves right to it. They're bringing themselves right to death, and thinking that, oh, we're going to use this to jump over it. No, you're not jumping over. You jumping right. You diving headlong, as a Haran would say. You going headlong right into it. You see, and this is the position that the Lord has put the prophets as witnesses. The scripture speaks about, ye are my witnesses. We are witnessing, right, to them, testifying to them that this is what is happening. This is what you're doing, because that inquisition has been made now upon the counsels of the ungodly. So another scripture in Second Esdras, the 6th chapter. I'm gonna read this in the GNT, verse 13. It says, "Stand up," he said, speaking about the angel Uriel speaking to Ezra, "and you will hear a very loud voice. If the place where you are standing is violently shaken while the voice is speaking, don't be afraid. The message will be about the end of the world, and the foundations of the world will understand that the voice is speaking about them. They will tremble and quake, because they know that they will undergo a change when the end comes. Now, when I was reading this, and I've you know read this before, and how the spirit works, you got different layers. But as I was reading this now, it made me think about Hebrews the 12th chapter, right? Because as the Lord said, also I believe He said it in the book of is it Habakkuk? I'm not sure, but He says that the Lord is going to shake the earth once more, but not the earth only, but the heavens also. See, so the foundations of this earth or this age, right, or this world would be who? It would be what you see, the ones who rule the world right now, right? How the world goes, how the world is ruled and ran is based off of the system that Esau set up. But as it says here, right, when the voice starts to speak, and this voice, right, is I believe it's Yahweh Shai. It doesn't say it is Yahweh Shai, but I believe it's Yahweh Shai because it said it's a voice like many waters. But it says what? When the voice starts to speak, then the foundations of the world is going to start to tremble. But he tells us not to be afraid of it, and those are the signs, right? Because when people look at these signs, they get afraid of these things, right? They get afraid of the things that the Lord said was going to happen to showcase His return. But for the elect, we're not supposed to be afraid of these things. He said to us, "What? Lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh." So the same thing that that is making people afraid is exciting us, right? It's actually making us joyful. Okay. And it's ultimately because this message will be about the end of the world, and the foundations of the world will understand the voice is speaking about them, because it's not speaking about the literal world as in the earth, because it tells us in Ecclesiastes that the earth abideth forever. So what is actually ended, right? This world, as it says in Second Peter, right? There's that let me pull up that real quick, that the Lord reserved this world unto fire. Second Peter chapter 3. Um, where is it? Yeah, Second Peter chapter 3, verse 7. It says, "But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men." Okay, so this earth or this age is being reserved, okay, to the day of judgment, which is the day of the Lord, to judge who, right? To destroy or perdition of ungodly men. And who was at the head of that? Esau, Edom, his age, his kingdom. So running that back to Second Ezra 6, Salaki, it says, they will tremble and quake because they know that they will undergo a change when it comes. Now tying that into Hebrews 12, verse, let's go to 26. It says, "Whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, yet now he has promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And this word, yet once more, signifieth the removing of those things that are shaken." See, so in Second Ezra, he says, if those things start to shake around you, don't be afraid, because the shaking, right, and of those things means that that they're about to undergo a change, that they're about to be removed. And that's what the Lord is doing. He is setting up, right, the removal of this rulership and ushering in the kingdom of heaven. That is why when Yahweh Shai started to preach, what did he say? "Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." That is what's coming on the earth, and we are, Lord willing, hoping to be the pillars, right, the unmovable pillars of that kingdom. Okay, the unmovable government of that kingdom, because it says here, "As the things that are made," running that back, let me see, it says, yet once more signifying the removal of things that are shaken, as of things that are made, and those things which cannot be shaken may remain. All right, because everything that is made of what? Man's hands, right? The B system, AI, all of that is made of man's hands. So those things will be shaken, and therefore they will be removed. But the things that cannot be shaken, which is that solid rock, right? The chief cornerstone, the church that Yahweh Shai build, that can't be removed because it won't be shaken. That's why King David spoke about, the Lord has set me on a solid rock. I shall not be moved. Esau is not on a solid rock. He is in a slippery place. And because now the Lord has spoken and he's shaken the foundations of this world and they're moving, that means they got to go because he's about to set up the unmovable kingdom. As it says here, wherefore we receiving a kingdom that cannot be moved. Let us have grace whereby we may serve the Most High acceptably with reverence and godly fear. So we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be moved, right? And this this year, we believe there's going to be a lot of pieces, right? A lot of things that are going to take place, which Lord willing, we'll tap into some of them. That is signifying the removal of his kingdom, which to the naked eye, it would seem like they're solidifying a whole new kingdom. But that's why the Lord said, when they're about to fill their belly, he is going to strike them through. This is really them stamping or solidifying the removal of this kingdom. But you got it.
Hey, real quick, just to back you up, Zaquan, beautiful, beautiful points you made there. But a couple highlights that I want to jump on real quick was the fact that number one, Israel is not going to be moved. All right, because once the Lord plants you there, if he doesn't move you, you're not moving. Ain't nobody moving you. Right. So that's the first thing we got to think about is like, oh, the Lord is finally the one who's going to put us back in our land. He's going to plant us back in our land. And once we're planted, what's going to happen? We're going to germinate, we're going to grow, we're going to bear fruit, and we're going to keep on growing. All right. So we just real, right? The seed of Israel. So we good. All right. We good. But for you devils, all right, the Zaquan talked about what? The shaking, right? The shaking of the heavens and the earth and so on and so forth. Things are going to be moved out of place, right? And that's because of the anger of the Lord. You see, very soon, the whole world is going to realize that there is actually a God that is the most feared power on earth. You see, people tend to be afraid of like elements, like it might be raining, you hear a crazy ass, loud ass thunder, and your dog run away, the cat run away, and then you just like, oh shit, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You might see a lightning strike. It hits like a power line, and then and then all the light is out, right? Those are elements, okay? It might be a snowy day, mass snow out of nowhere. You're like, damn, what the fuck? People driving and crashing left and right. That's elements, okay? It might be a hot ass day. It gets so hot, people just pass out. Some people die off of that. Those are elements, okay? It might be a fire, right? It might be a fire in a building or just fire in general. That's just an element. These are all things that the Lord created, okay? He has power over these elements. We as humans don't have power over those elements. Mind you, Esau is trying to, have control and power over these elements via technology, right? They have the ability to manipulate the weather and food and so on and so forth. Like they talk about genetically modified babies, right? And they're shifting into a different realm with this whole humanoid robot shit, right? You could design however the robot you want, different color, different size of ass, all kinds of shit. Like however you want the robot to be, they could create it for you. Like an actual robot. We brought this out a couple of weeks ago. How they created for like sexual encounters and all kinds, like a sex bot. You know what I mean? Like they the meta above and beyond. Okay. But the point is, the Lord is going to be the one to shake things up. All right. As is written in the book of Psalm, that it is time for thee to work, Yahweh, for they have made void thy law. Okay. Now, when the Lord starts making his presence felt, that's when the world is going to be like, yo, what the Hebrew Israelite brothers and prophets were saying was true. Like we've never seen anything like this before. Why? Because a time like never before. You don't think the Lord's going to show up and show out? All this bullshit that's been going on around the world, this docile energy, this Christian spirit, the Christian nigga spirit, that passive obedience bullshit, not knowing what's really what, you just go with the flow. Everything that's worldly, these niggas embrace it and talk about, they just put a Jesus Christ spin on it. Like it's acceptable now. Like some crazy shit. But this is what they do. Okay? Christians embrace GAY marriage. Right? They just put a twist of Jesus to it and then boom, right? It's all good now. You know what I'm saying? The blood of Christ is all good. You got a damn homo ass nigga TD Bakes out here talking about swallow. You just put a twist to Jesus blood on it and it's all good now. I'm free to do all this whole ass shit. All these niggas are gonna be held accountable for the whole ass shit they've been doing, man. All right? And that's all part of the moving. That's all part of shaking. And then ultimately at the end of it all is that fire, that destruction. Everyone who's watching these videos, you listen to these videos, you might think, oh yeah, whatever. But guess what? There's going to be that day where the reality, everything changes. Where reality is like, yo, I'm not worried about my bank account. I'm not worried about my next job. I'm not worried about the next nigga next to me. I'm worried about, yo, there's missiles coming and my government can't do nothing to stop it. Now what? Huh? There's missiles coming to America or the land that I'm sitting on right now, whether it be New York or Philly or LA or Atlanta or Miami, wherever you may be. All 5,500 square miles of America is going to be cooked. All right, with an unforgettable cooking. And you're going to have niggas screaming, right, in the car, like, what the fuck is going on? Everybody just jam-packed, stop, what the hell? You know, because you could imagine how much darkness is going to be. Okay, just everything just shut down because the power that's coming, the Lord is bringing that kind of power. Remember, it says, all eyes shall see him. Okay, so he's coming with a power that disrupts everyone's energy to the point where you can do nothing but focus on this power that's coming towards the earth. That's how it's going to be. The King of Kings is here. You think niggas gonna just be, oh, I mean, I see Yahushua's coming with this big ass gigantic UFO, but I'm just gonna keep on doing what I'm doing, man. So nah, nigga, everyone's gonna stop. Everything stops. The day that the earth stood still, that's the day of the Lord's return, man. You see what I'm saying? It's just mad, like dramatic, mad epic, okay? And niggas know they finna die. It's like, oh shit, he's here now. You know, that's gonna be a day, man. That's gonna be a crazy ass day, okay? And that's what we waiting for. But the rest of the world, they look at it as, oh, you guys are creating a scary society, and oh, you guys are always talking about how America's gonna be destroyed. Don't y'all live in America? Yeah, nigga, you must love the way America is, because I know I don't. All right, having to wake up every day working for all this chump change. The rich keep getting richer. All right, and they keep giving us the middle finger, talking about, yo, keep doing your thing. We're gonna keep taxing your ass even more. Right? We making more money and we keep taxing your ass. Create a miserable ass world for you. And guess what? We about to shift into a whole different time of misery. Okay, this whole AI shit. Okay, and it's just months away. Months away, you're gonna start seeing different changes just like that. Boom. You wake up one day, you go to your bank, it's a new policy. The fuck? Like, oh, I gotta get my money right now. In a time of desperation, you don't think they're gonna feed off of that? You're gonna make an impulsive decision. That's what they want. They want to push you to a point where you making impulsive decisions. Oh shit, my car broke down. I need bread. Oh, then I gotta go take the C-hip so I can get it. People gonna do that. Okay? The same shit that makes you go buy a fast food restaurant food, fucking drive through all that shit. Same tricks they're gonna use on your brain to go take that C-hip. All right, but ultimately that destruction that's coming. Let's read a little bit about that. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, and verse 11. It says, I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. Okay, so all this wicked ass shit that's going on, there's going to be a day that you got to be held accountable for it. All right, things that, I ran a red light. That's not wickedness, bro. That's just a law just to keep society, at bay. But I'm talking about like wickedness that niggas actually perform that goes against the scriptures. Why? Because keeping the scriptures and the laws to the best of your ability and having fear in the Lord is not mainstream. Okay, it's not something that's normal. Like, we don't, you know what I'm saying? People don't really take it seriously like that no more. We're pretty much the only ones that actually embrace that. We live this. You see what I'm saying? We actually are the men that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we live this, to the best of our ability. But these niggas, well, look here, right? It says, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And that's predominantly targeting Esau, Edom. Okay? He's the one who's proud. He's the one who's arrogant. Okay? He's the one who believes that he could just, which is a curse on him anyway, right? A vagabond, right? So he can't, scripture says he keepeth not at home. Okay? So he's never satisfied. His desire is like hell. He's never satisfied. He got to go all around because that's the Lord's curse on his ass. All right? So it says what? It says, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. All right? When you go into that word terrible, as a matter of fact, let's do that right now. All right? It says here, it says ruthless, mighty, terrifying, okay? Violent, great power, okay? So that's all what? Tyrannical, okay? So, was that Isaiah 19? It talks about the Lord giving the Egyptians into the hand of a cruel Lord, right? That's all part of the terrible spirit that these devils have, man. And very soon you're gonna see it. Everybody's gonna see it, bro. We're not just talking for nothing. We've seen these things coming years ago. Okay, we're talking about robot dogs. They got robot armies right now. Okay, we're talking about fucking fully autonomous robots that don't get tired. They keep chasing your ass no matter what you do. I remember the Black Mirror episode of that damn robot that just wouldn't stop. This nigga he blew his limbs off and they can find a way to just use 3 limbs chasing you, and she's looking all crazy. You be like, what the fuck? Like, yo, you know, they got all these sensors, right? Today I heard, I read something that they were saying that they're installing these cameras. I think I sent it to a couple of brothers. They are installing these cameras at the red light, right? Red light camera, but it's not really to track you for speeding or running the red light. It's to get a biometric scan of your face at that light. So what they're doing now is once you pull up to the red light and you might have your head down, whatever. Most people be on their phones just real quick. Let me check what's going on, that kind of shit. So your head is down. And then once you lift your head up for that split second to see if the light is red or green, boom, they already got your face right there. And it's a small little black camera. And they got that shit going on. Why? Oh, go ask Flock. They'll tell you. Okay? And that information, if there's something wrong, they pop your face pops up, that biometric scan. It pulls up all the information about you. Oh, this person is this, or this person is that. Oh, hey, there's a police waiting ahead, maybe a mile down. Make sure you stop this dude right here. And they'll send him all that information. By the time you pass by, you got a cop behind you. Be like, what the fuck? What did I do? He already got information passed down to him, and you have, like, you just sitting there like, yo, what happened? Like, how the fuck did you know about this shit? You know what I mean? So that's the game this devil is playing, man. And it's gonna get worse, right? It says here, continue Isaiah 13:12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And that's talking about a man of the Lord. Why? Because we're gonna have the actual sustenance in the times that we're coming in. When you've seen a man have so much mercy from the Lord, when everybody's getting their shit rocked, you're gonna be like, yo, there's something, I gotta be over there. Okay? When there's all dark everywhere, but these men are still lively, it's like, for some reason, your lights don't get cut out. Well, why is that? What's so special about you? You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers are starving, killing each other, committing cannibalism, okay? Because all these McDonald's eating ass niggas, they coming for flesh. All right, they're coming for a pound of flesh. You know, inside joke. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they're coming for. All right? They're going to be, you might be at a grocery store, you walking by yourself, you get a baseball bat to the back of your head, game over, done. You're never going to see a daylight ever again, because these Edomites, that's what they do. Don't get caught in the Edomite neighborhood when all hell breaks loose. That's all I'm going to say. Because you could get caught in the Jake neighborhood, right? And they might just fuck with you or even help you out. Be like, yo, we in this together, my nigga. Let's find something to eat. He's still going to look at you, nigga. Oh, shit, we got food. Next thing you know, bad niggas pop out of the woodwork out of nowhere. You might have this crazy ass demonic demon bitch, Edomite bitch, run from the woods out of nowhere. And come chase after you, get you all panicky and shit. You know what I'm saying? These are things that's going to be happening. A lot of these chicks going to be going missing out of nowhere. You be like, yo, I just shorty that used to come to the gym. What happened to her? She out of there. You know, she was in the gym way too late. Some niggas snatched her up. It's over with. She ain't got no man. You see? In those times, you're going to need acumen. You're going to need spiritual guidance. That's where the preciousness of being around a man of the Lord comes in. All right, that right judgment, that judgment call, that's like, oh shit, damn, like, how did you know? You know, how did you know? Well, the Lord is the one who's guiding us. That's how we know. You see? So continue in verse 13. It says, therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. So going back to what the Zaquan was saying, okay? What's going to cause that shaking? What's going to cause the movement is the power of the Lord, the destruction, the wrath, right? It says very next continuing, it says, in the wrath of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger, man, that righteous indignation. Okay? So that's what's coming, man. It's a powerful day. That's all we could say. And we just thankful that, hey, may the Lord have mercy on us so we could get beamed up and we could be looking at that destruction down, be like, oh shit. You know? But that's all I had. Y'all brothers got it.
That's it. Yeah, I got a precept here. I want a couple points that I wanted to land back off as well, because Zaquan was mentioning earlier, right, about the voice, right, and then the shaking, and ultimately, you know, it's interesting because there's in the Lord's workings, there's always a dichotomy, right? It's the same year, right? It's going to be unforgettable, but for different reasons for different people, right? For those that are getting punished, it's going to be the worst, you know, punishment they've ever gone through in terms of judgment. But for the elect, it's going to be an unforgettable time, not in a bad sense, okay, but in a good sense, because even in the bad, the elect are going to be good, and in the good, the elect are going to be great. So it's really just like a win-win. Why? Because in the quote-unquote good times for this world, the elect were so-called bad. At least they were seen as bad by this world, okay, having to sacrifice for the Lord, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, like I mentioned, when there's the Lord mentioned, right, when there's famine, right, and people are starving to death, that's going to be a time they'll never forget, a very painful experience for them. But during that same very famine, the elect are going to be fed. And that's going to be a beautiful thing for them, because for us, Lord willing, because in being fed and seeing the miracles of the Lord and having the comfort, knowing the Lord is with you in these times, is going to be a very thing to rejoice at. And that's why in Isaiah 65, it mentions not only are the servants of the Lord going to eat and drink, but they're going to sing for joy of heart. Okay. That shows you when there's chaos, but you're singing for joy of heart. That means you're in a position where you're not stressed. You're not affected by the chaos, right? You're not troubled by the things that are taking place. Okay. So this is, I'm going to jump here first. This is the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 19. It says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7, there shall no evil touch thee. Okay. And like I mentioned, the greater the calamity is, the greater the deliverance will have to be, right? That's just how the Lord set it up. He always has to match, and the Lord doesn't even necessarily just match, because the right hand always triumphs and crushes whatever the left hand will come with. The Lord didn't match the sorceries of the Egyptian magi's. He overpowered it. Okay. To the point where they themselves had to admit and tell Pharaoh, like, look, now after like the 5th plague, they say, all right, cool, we're gonna tap out here. I think this is where we stop, because they realized that, hey, there was no combating it. With Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, right, when they came against Aaron and Moses, and Moses said, you know what, why don't you bring your censers and come and offer incense to the Lord, and everybody offer incense, and let's see who the Lord picks. Let's F that. I don't want to hear that. Open up the earth, swallow these guys, and get them up out of there. So it says here in verse 20, in famine he shall redeem thee from death. Oh, another one that came to mind was Elijah and the prophets of Baal. The Lord didn't come to match he's not here to match. Okay, he's here to show you who is the actual true dominant power. So when the Lord, that's why the Lord is long suffering, right? And it says he hideth himself, because when he does show himself, it's unforgettable. The same Israelites that asked for, we want to talk to the Lord showed up. They said, look, we don't want to risk this anymore. Is it the first time we did it? We got out alive. We're not doing that no more. We'll have Moses talk to him on our behalf, right? But when the Lord sent that fire down, for the sacrifice that Elijah called, it said that it's not just that he sent fire down, because that would have been enough to win, right? But he sent the fire down. It burnt the altar. It burnt the stones. It drank the water. It completely devoured the whole thing. So back in Job 5:20, it says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, right? So you can imagine death buys your life, right? With one example being famine, right? Because when death comes around via famine, it can actually consume your life. But here the Lord says he's gonna redeem you. Okay. And when you redeem someone, you sort of give a ransom for them. So how is the Lord going to redeem us from death during famine? By feeding us. And the scriptures tell you that in the wilderness, the Lord suffered us not to eat bread and drink wine and eat the things of the flesh, so that we may know that he is the God that liveth, because he still sustained us even though we didn't have those things. And he did that to show you, as I think the scriptures also mention, that you may know that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that cometh out of the Most High's mouth, because that is how we were preserved and sustained in a time when we didn't have carnal victuals that people usually depend on to survive. So it says here, and in war from the power of the sword. And these are all things the Lord is going to use to bring judgment in this time. These are all things the Lord is going to use to make this upcoming time an unforgettable time, a time like never before. That's it, interchangeable. Okay, something that's like never before, you're never going to forget it because it's never happened before, right? People right now remember the first time whatever it is happened, when they first invented something, when they first created the atomic bomb. Everybody still talks about that. They don't really talk about the second, third, fourth, fifth time as much as they do the first time, because that was the first time that had ever happened before. So as it says, in war from the power of the sword. So we're not gonna have to worry about dying from, gun violence or, whatever war may be coming up, because the Lord is gonna redeem us from that. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. And this is very important, because it's not just saying that neither shalt thou be destroyed when destruction comes. It says neither shalt thou be afraid when destruction cometh. But it's normal human instinct to be afraid when destruction comes. So what position do you really have to be in to where you're not even afraid of destruction that's coming? When anybody told Yahushua about the death of somebody else, did you ever see Yahushua panic or fear? He never did. All the men of the Lord that had the power, that knew what power they had, never feared when somebody came to them and said, oh, such and such died and this, that, and the third. They never bugged out. They never lost their minds. Yahushua went in there and he said, yo, clear out the room. Because he told them what? She sleepeth. I forgot who it was exactly. I think it was Tabitha. I think that was the name of the woman. And Yahushua said, she sleepeth. And they started laughing at him. How the hell are you going to go from mourning to laughing at him because he said that she sleepeth? But he didn't lose his mind. Oh shit, they're laughing at me. Oh my gosh, it's better work. No. Next thing you know, she was up and ready and hungry and ready to eat. Right? You have ye any meat? Fetch her some food. So when you are going in this, when all hell is breaking loose and the Lord is working with you, right? That power is within you. You're not going to be afraid whether it's troops, whether it's AI robots, whether it's famine. You're not going to be afraid of any of that. In famine, if you can pick up a rock and turn it into bread, or gather some sand and some stones in a pot and open it and it's like freaking Haitian rice from LI, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you're not going to be stressed, because whenever you're hungry, you're all set, right? If you have spiritual power, like true power, you can, I don't know, super strength, you can teleport, you can do these things. What FEMA troop is going to scare you? You're going to want to invite them to come. So it's things like this to where that you have a divine power with you. So you're not worried, okay, or stressed or concerned about the evils to come. Now, somebody in the world, that's a different story. Okay, somebody in the world, as it says here in verse 22, at destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. If you notice the picture the Lord is painting here, he mentions not being afraid. And then now he mentions laughing. Okay, at destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh, because it has no power over you. It's like an immortal. See, what was that scene from Hancock when the train was coming, and he basically he got and stood there in the middle, and people started losing their minds. What's wrong with this guy? He must want to die. But he didn't bug out, because he knew that train to a normal person would completely mangle them, but it had no power over him. So the things that people look at and are afraid of, we laugh at because we know it has no power over us. An immortal being, a god, is not going to lose his mind when a car is coming his way or you shoot a bullet at him. Like that episode in, not episode, it was the movie, it was a Superman movie where you had a robber who basically went up to him and put a gun point blank and shot him in his eyeball. And they slowed it down where the bullet went straight. And he just stood there. He didn't even flinch. And the bullet hit his eyeball, and the bullet itself crushed and then fell down to the ground. See, he wasn't bugging out because he knew that had no power over him. And that's the power, the mind, and the spirit that the Lord is going to put on us in this time, to where we're going to be able to laugh, okay, at destruction and famine. As it says here, neither shall thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. So when them wild animals start running rampant around here, you'd be surprised. What is a lion doing downtown in the Bronx? Here it is, you get on the train, and right when the train doors close, you see a freaking lion sitting next to you on the other side. How the hell did they get in there? Or a bear, Y'all got bears? Yeah. Them bears go. Them bears go. they're gonna creep up into society. They're gonna be ready for food. But the Lord said, "What? We're not gonna be afraid, because they're gonna be in league with us." Hey, bears are very, very dangerous. So it says, verse 23, "For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee." Look at Daniel, for example. Daniel was amongst lions, which are very dangerous and ferocious. Lions that were so ferocious, they tore up the wicked people. It says before the bodies even touched the ground, the lions jumped up, caught them in the air, tore them up, had a 5-star meal midair, and then came down and then devoured the bones. And it says here, verse 24, and thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy thy habitation and not sin. And thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. So you see how it goes from deliverance, from deliverance into salvation to glory, rest, and joy. And that's going to be the path of the elect. You know, once you know the Lord is with you in this time, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Now it's just a waiting game. Get through this. In that time, the Lord is going to hold you through it. And then after that, Yahushua comes back, and it's from one glory to another, to another, to another. But yeah, you brothers got it.
Got a precept tying in with what brother's been saying. This is the book of John 16:20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. And with New Year's that just happened, we had an example of that. Everybody was celebrating, you know, like people idealize the new year in a type of way where it's like this magical thing of like how they're going to go and become the best version of themselves or whatever, or they're going to conquer everything and whatever bullshit vain opinion that they have of what's going to happen. But we know the truth of the matter is more lamentation, more woe, more destruction. All right. But we're in a state of mourning because we're not in the kingdom yet. All right. But we're coming quickly into the time where our sorrow is going to be turned into joy. All right. And this is what the Lord said after: a woman, when she is in travail, have sorrow because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man take it from you. So it's just like when a woman is going through the birthing pains, there's pain involved, going through certain things. You know, our desire to be in the kingdom is really, you know, just the waiting game, you know, having to have that patience, having to witness all the wickedness that goes on. You know, at this point, we're accustomed to suffering, you know, so it's just an everyday part of life. You know, as a Jake, you just assume that you're going to go through shit, you know, and even niggas in the world know that, you know. But us, especially of the household of faith, we know, you know, we suffer different things because of the spirit that the Lord put in us. But there's going to come a time where, you know, finally, you know, the baby is going to come forth, and that's going to be in the kingdom. And another point I wanted to bring out in reference to what Aharon had said earlier about, you know, discernment, knowing not who to trust and who not to trust. I don't know if y'all brothers watched the show Fallout. Y'all seen the last episode 2? I'm not gonna say it then. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to ruin it for y'all. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Then I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll tell. If anything, y'all watch it, and I know we could talk about it after.
Hey, the Watt, appreciate that. But yeah, nah, just you know, going back to the you know, theme and the point what brothers was making, you know, about how the Lord is going to make this year unforgettable, right? For both sides. And I think we mentioned it last time, yesterday. Damn, it was just yesterday, right? We was doing a live stream. Oh, it was 2 days ago. 2 days ago. About how the Lord is drawing near, right? Behold, I will begin to draw near to them that dwell on the earth, and how that, you know, is pertains to judgment, right, of the wicked, but it also there is a judgment of the righteous as well, which the judgment of the righteous is the things that the brother was going into in Job the 5th chapter. You see, and although we are looking for a time period where those things manifest to where the beasts of the field will be at peace with us, and in famine we shall laugh. Those things are really effects of the faith in the works that we're putting in now. You know, and it's not like, oh, we're waiting for the Lord to deal with us. The Lord is already dealing with us now. And in those moments, right, because as it says in Isaiah the 65th chapter, it says, behold, my servants shall eat. So the Lord already has who his servants are. He's already, distinguished or separated his servants for this particular time period. But those servants don't just spring out and pop up at that time. They've already been there. That's why it says in Second Ezra 16th chapter, then shall my chosen be known. You see? And those are the ones that's going to be portraying a certain type of spirit, right? They're going to be making themselves in a certain type of way so that when that time comes, they will be worthy, as it says in Luke, the 21st chapter, right? They'll be worthy to escape these things that are coming upon the earth. In the process, or shall I say, the position to be worthy is a process, right? It's the refining, it's the going through the trials, it's the keeping the faith, right? It's the enduring the trials, the temptations, all of these things. It's the fight. That's why Paul said, right? Fighting the good fight, finishing the course, keeping the faith. And we're seeing a lot of men are not doing that, right? You're seeing the individuals that may have been puffed up, that may have gotten a platform, that may have, gotten a name for themselves in this age, in this world, but they, didn't take heed to the weightier matters, right? They didn't take heed into the sincerity of what this thing is about, because they ultimately wanted to make a name for themselves, right? I think the guy was Eleazar, if I'm not mistaken. That's what his guy's name, that wanted to make a name for himself, and he jumped in front of the elephant and stabbed it, and then he died. So he made a name for himself, but his name that he made for himself is infamous, right? He's going down in history as an idiot. Okay, that's how we know him. Thousands of years later as the idiot, and it's all because of the mindset that he had, right? That wasn't aligned with order, wasn't aligned with patience. It was aligned with wanting to do something on by him, like to make it, as it says, to make a name for himself. You don't make a name for yourself, right? The Lord said that humble yourself under the mighty hand of the Lord, and in due time he will exalt thee, right? And this is what that's what the time that we're speaking about, that's what that's going to come into. We're going to come into the time where the Lord is going to exalt us. And the exaltation of the Lord isn't going to be something that you would normally see of this world being exalted, right? Views and likes and people, you becoming popular and you want to go on podcasts and all. That's what people are trying to do to exalt themselves now, right? Coming in on a horse at the Passover, right? All of these fancy titles and names. That's you trying to exalt yourself. But when the Lord exalts you, it's going to be far more than what you could have ever done, right? You talking about you coming in on a horse. The Lord can send a chariot, a chariot of fire down, right? As he, did for Elijah. He can send a chariot down to take you out or to bring you somewhere, as it says in Isaiah 59, right? When the spirit of when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord shall set up a standard against them. So when the Lord exalts us, right? When he exalts us, it's going to be something that this world has never witnessed, the strangeness of our salvation. You see? And this is something as brothers are going into that we're never going to forget. And going from glory to glory, right? We have this glory of remembering ourselves and the burden of laboring, right? And seeing the fruits of the labor, right? Feeding the sheep, giving them the correct understanding, seeing the prophecies come to pass, right? And being the ones that hazard our lives to speak about these things. And then we see them happen, right? We rejoice in it, but then we also feed the sheep and let them know, like, look, this is what we've been telling you. That's a glory in itself. But that also comes with being defamed, right? Being mocked, being ridiculed. But the time is going to come where the mocking and the ridicule and the defaming, that's going to go away. And it's just going to be the glory that the Lord gives us, right? By way of the salvation, by way of the deliverance, by way ultimately of being a part of that elect and standing with Yahweh Shah. Because at that point, ain't nobody going to be able to say anything. You see? And that's the point of the as we go, we were talking about, that's how that ends for the elect. The elect doesn't have any other option other than winning. That's the only option that the elect has. Is just your path is to win, period. And all you have to do is just stand on that path and you're going to win. Now you have the wicked, their path only is to lose. And what you're doing is going down that path just to lose. And the decision that you make, that's why what is that Joshua said? I put before you life and death, choose ye this day. A lot of people, they choose death thinking that they're choosing life because they're looking at it carnally. They're looking at it as, oh, I'm saving myself, right? I'm going to get down with the B system. I'm getting down with, AI. I'm getting down with, the digital infrastructure, right? I'm saving myself. I'm saving my money. I'm saving my future, saving my children's future, all of these things. And to the carnal eye, that seems plausible. That seems like the path that you're supposed to take. But this is why the scripture says that we walk by faith and not by sight. And that's something that only the elect, right? Only the chosen, that gift is only the chosen have. That's why the Lord said, that blessed are your eyes for they see and your ears for they hear. Thought I had a precept. Hold on one second. See something. Salakia. Yeah, this is Psalms 56, verse 6. It says, they gather themselves together, they hide themselves, they mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Shall they escape by iniquity? In thine anger cast down the people, O God. Right. So are they going to escape by iniquity? Right? Is Esau going to just get off with, trying to grape the Lord's wife by putting that charagma in them? Right? Is he's going to get off by boasting himself as being a god? Right? As brothers was talking about, the Lord is going to show that there is only one God. Like that's a given. And I always think about it, I was like, yo, and the scriptures always says it like, yo, Lord, why don't you just do it right now? Just show them. Just show them that there's just you and that's it, and it's over. But you can't hasten above above the heights. But the point is that the time is going to come where the Lord is going to do that. And that's the thing that you got to keep reminding yourself. Like the time the Lord has set that he is going to make it known that it's just him and him alone. And when that happens, he's not going to undersell it. He's not going to make it to where it's like, oh, some people still are questioning. Everybody is going to know that it is only the God of Israel that is the the true living God, the God that we have been ushering in, Yahweh Ba'ashim Hawashah. And you're not going to escape by your iniquity, by your sin, right? As it says in Isaiah, that trying to make a covenant with death, right, in an agreement with hell, trying to escape the overflowing scourge, that's not going to take place. You see, so I wanted to get into that article real quick, but I know you brothers might have something, so I'll let y'all go if you have something you want to get in.
I had a precept, a quick one. This is John 16:33. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. That's the beauty of all this, man, is Yahweh Shai already conquered it. He already got the victory, as you were going into. And it's not like things in the world are uncertain. That's why Yahweh Shai said, store not your treasures on earth where moth and rust doth corrupt. Because if you have your hope in the world, things can always go south. Things can always get fucked up. Even in this life, you can lose your life. You can get sick. Your body can break down. Life can get complicated, right? And that's why Yahushua said, you're going to have sorrow and travail and different things. You have to overcome these things, but be of good cheer. He already conquered everything, man. He conquered everything. He already did it. So we just here waiting for it to play out. So our mindset has to be towards the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and the Son, Yahweh Shai, on how to best serve them, knowing that they're good. The Heavenly Father has always been good, and Yahweh Shai, through his sacrifice, he got back to that estate of immortality. So it's been conquered. Everything's been conquered, man. These evil niggas that hate us, these other false camps, they've been conquered. Okay? The wicked of our people have been conquered. Eve has been conquered. All right. Esau, Edom, and his system has been conquered by Yahweh Shai. The chemtrails, the pollution, people worried about, yo, the Earth Day, yo, we need to say, Yahweh Shai already did it all. You know, but these people are over here caught up in the world, man, and uncertain riches, man. You know, you make an investment and you be worried, like, man, I hope this goes through. I hope this and that. And it's like, nothing is ever guaranteed, but we have something that's 100% guaranteed that's never going to fail. And that is Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, man, and the sacrifice that our Lord made. And it's a guarantee to hit. If you invest in this truth, invest your time, your effort, sacrifice, hard work, you know, into it, it's going to pay off, man. It is paying off. Look at how the Lord has been affecting our lives, man. You know, and that's why we're so fervent for prophecy, because we know as these things commence and as these things continue, that's leading us into the time of the fulfillment of all things. We can finally come into that victory and get that crown of life. But Yahweh Shai already has it, man. Yahweh Shai already conquered death. And I have one more in Isaiah 25. Or you know what? I'm gonna read it from it's the same verse basically, but it's in 2 Corinthians. Or 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 15 and 1 Corinthians 15 and 52. 51. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. And that encompasses everything that involves death. Esau, Edom is as death. All right, this verse is really talking about the new bodies, but in essence, by Yahweh Shai's victory, he conquered death. He conquered the power that the flesh has over us. He conquered this man's kingdom. All right, everything that has to do with death is conquered already, and we just waiting for it to play out. So when you see the elites bugging out and they don't know which way to go, they 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that. Trump saying he's friends with G, then he's enemies, then they doing this, they doing that, they blockading, they losing their mind, right? It's all a shit show, because this is the results of a man who's losing his kingdom, losing his rulership. And meanwhile, Yahweh Shai has that victory, man. All right, it's already settled. Nothing can pluck. And if you belong to Yahweh Shai, you can't be plucked out of his hand. All right. So, you know, I just wanted to bring that out.
Yeah, Khan. You guys on Haran?
Yeah, I was going to say, while we wait for the Zaquan, I had a quick precept here. Ultimately, this is what it all boils down to. And this is the book of John chapter 12, verse 25. It says, he that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. And why is that? Is because the times we were coming into, right? That's why it's known as the hour of temptation, because those that love this world, as the scripture says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For the love of this world is what is enmity with the Most High, right? So we understand that. So we know, as the scripture says, he that loveth his life shall lose it. In other words, those that love their life, they're attached to this world. They're like Lot's wife. They don't want to see this shit ever go down, because they embody this world. You see what I'm saying? All the wickedness is just, hey, as the Zaquan brought out earlier in Isaiah, what that they declare their sins like unto Sodom. Okay, literally, that's how these people move. You think they want to see this place be destroyed? Nah, we sound like theists to them. We sound like party poopers to them. You know, we sound like, you know, doomsday, you know, niggas to them. You know, but we're just giving you warning that all these things that's coming, this is what the Lord said. Okay, and this is what he's going to do. All right. It says, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. And that's us. Okay, we hate this world. We hate everything about this world because of its wickedness. All right. Esau is trying to demonize the word hate and make it seem like everything that you say that people disagree with is hate. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you criticize somebody, oh, why you hating? No, I'm just highlighting what the fuck I'm seeing. All right. And if you're going off, I'm cooking you on that. That's not hate. That's actually love. Right. But this world, turning everything upside down. Okay. Turning good to evil and evil to good. When you tell somebody what they're doing is going off, they call that hate. Right. So how much more us rebuking society, rebuking the world for its wickedness, according to the scriptures? Of course, they deem us hateful men, you know, but we don't care about none of that because the same thing they were saying to Yahushua, you know what I'm saying? The same thing they were saying to their disciples. All right, so we're in the stead of those men. So, hey, it's a blessing. All right, but Zaquan, you got it.
Khan, yep. Hey, just to add, before I get to that article real quick, which you was talking about, demoness teas and everything like that, it made me think about that individual that just got caught, quote unquote, in North Carolina, right, trying to do some domestic tea event or some shit, but it was a Jake, right? And he was tied to ISIS, and and all this shit. So it was just like, when do you see Black Americans start to link up with ISIS and they want to do some T attacks? But that is, as you were saying, it's really a how do you put it? That's a priming, right? They're priming the public to get used to seeing so-called black faces. And we already got, the northern tribe here. Y'all niggas just immigrants and y'all terrorists because y'all shouldn't even be here. And then now they getting the southern tribe where y'all actually linking up with these T's. So it's like they're priming public to get used to seeing Jake, period, northern and southern kingdom as being, domestic T's, as being extremists, as being threats to America, right? That's why you have Mark Levine say, and if you are anti-American, if you anti, the 48ers, then, hey, we don't want you here. We want to come after you. Trump said it. That's the whole notion now, right? And they're going to lump what we're speaking. They're going to lump the gospel of Yahweh Shai into that. But that's okay because once again, in order to overcome Jacob's trouble, you got to be in Jacob's trouble, right? You got to be in it to win it. So you do what you got to do. But running through this real quick, as you see, right, it says, coming from the Times of, I believe this is in London, it says newborns could be assigned digital IDs alongside health record book. Now, you see this newborns, and then you see digital IDs. You should know exactly what this is tied into, right? And you following false teachers, you following IUIC, you following Captain Cesariak saying it's sin, it is going to lead you down a path that is not going to be good for you long term. We'll just say it like that because this is clear that everything we've been prophesying, starting with the apostles of Great Millstone on down, pertaining to the MOTB, the mark of the beast, is tied to digital identification, right? Very, very obvious. And the more information, the more time goes by, the more it becomes plainer and plainer. And that is the beauty of prophecy, right? Because the Lord he's going to make it known, which is why he says, then shall you know a prophet has been among you, right? So let's read this real quick. It says newborn babies could be assigned digital IDs alongside their red book of health records under plans discussed by ministers. Parents may be given the option to sign their baby or their young child up to the identification system, which would act as a universal access to public services. And if your brother want to jump in at any time, you can. I can't see if I got something to say because I'm reading it. But yeah, just jump in if you want to. It says the government is aiming to publish a consultation on digital IDs in early February. The idea is said to have been raised in meetings between Josh Simons, whatever, which I'm pretty probably is a small hat with that last name, the cabinet officer, minister, and civil society groups last month. Critics has accused Labor of planning a cradle to grave digital file. Salakia, let me read that again. Critics have accused Labor of planning a quote cradle to grave digital file by considering the inclusion of children. So a cradle, which means from a baby, from an infant, all the way to the grave, that means your whole entire life they are doing what? Planning a digital file. Does not line up with what the scripture speaks about. Small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. It's speaking about small countries and great countries. No. You see, this is clearly speaking about a system that from birth all the way up until death, they want you to be tied to, right? And it's a digital file. So if you want to have a digital file, then you're going to have a digital what is it? A digital ID for this file. And what is this digital ID? How is this digital ID going to be tied to you? Biometrically, right? Biometrically through what? The chips that are micro. It's very once again, it's very obvious to see what they're doing. Sir David Davis, that's a funny name, the former conservative cabinet minister, said the plan was creeping state surveillance. Is this not what brothers have been going into time and time again? Total, right? Total totalitarian rule, right? Speaking as a, how's it go? Horns like a lamb, but speaking as a dragon, roughly paraphrased, right? This is the speaking as a dragon. And they're becoming more and more overt with that, right? The video I did earlier, where they're speaking about the limiting the First Amendment, your freedom of speech. That's out the window. Before they try to attack it from, oh, misinformation, we need to attack this. Now they're saying, you know what, we just got to get rid of your First Amendment right. And that's the first day. I think he had that interview yesterday. So the first day of 2026, they're coming out and telling you that they want to limit your First Amendment right. So don't be surprised, right? By within the next few months, you don't see the prophets on the YouTube anymore, because this whole setup is because in that video I did, there was an article that, oh, should I say, the guy said basically that no, he didn't say it. My bad. I'm mixing up. I went to Chat GPT, and Chat GPT said basically what he is talking about is censoring, outright censorship of videos or content that they deem or inauthentic. And what they deem inauthentic would be based off of what they deem real and true or false. And then you already know what they think about the gospel of Yahweh, right? It's hate speech, it's misinformation, it's discredited, right? Anything when you talk about the small hats not being the people of the book, they deem that as not factual. So it's obvious that this is going to be lumped in with the whole inauthentic content, which will be then outright censored or maybe shadow banned, right? The shadow ban is the very least. But going back here, it says the idea that we should allocate children IDs at birth is frankly an affront to centuries of British history and is being put out by stupid ministers who really don't understand the technology they are playing with. Davis told the Daily Mail, which first reported the story. They think they are being clever and modern, but a large number of people will be outraged by this. And they know that, right? They know that there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to get down with this, but that's where they have their problem reaction solution. That's where they have their order out of chaos. That's where they have their black swan events, right? Where they cause, right, people to be coerced into doing this, just like they did with the CV. Sir Keir Starmer first announced the intention to create a digital ID for Britons in September, saying it would be compulsory for right to work checks in an attempt to deter illegal immigration. Polling has historically shown a majority of Britons support the concept of a digital ID card scheme, although this support appeared to drop after Steinmar's announcements. Ministers are trying to make a broader case for the technology's ability to give British citizens more control over their data and how they interact with the government. And that's just the the carrot, right? Oh yeah, we're going to make it optional. We're going to make it seem like you have control over it. But once again, it never stops there, right? It's not going to be something that you get to opt in or opt out, right? It's going to be well, if you want this type of life, if you want these type of comfortabilities, right? If you want to be able to, live or be able to go to a hospital or be able to do anything, you're going to have this digital ID. See, so you can not have the digital ID, but then if you have a child, you can't go to the hospital, and your hospital won't birth your child because the children all need to have digital ID in order to, come through the public services of a hospital. That's how they're going to set it up. And a lot of people are going to say, "What? Well, I have no other option. I got to just do it."
Mhm.
But
Mhm. Oh,
somebody
sorry.
want to say that? No, you got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember how they brought out this whole digital ID? It was because of illegals and all this. Now it's reached the babies. Like, how many illegal babies you gonna be seeing crossing the border? That we gotta track babies now? Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? But that's always what they do, right? It's always let's get our foot in the door. Once we get our foot in the door, then we could start expanding from there. We expand, we cover more ground. Like, you know what I mean? But it's crazy because um the coin you read this part right here, the quote from Davis, Sir Davis, and he said, they think they are being clever and modern, but a large number of people will be outraged by this. Okay, and that's as soon as I seen that, I'm thinking, oh, Job the 20th chapter, right? In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, right? Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So people being outraged, when you go into that word outrage, right? In the etymology, it says the passing beyond reasonable bounds. Okay, so that's what Second Ezra 15, right? They shall be like madmen. I mean, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, right? So that's going above and beyond the normal bounds, like the bounds of society that keeps everything intact, right? The rules of society or the fear of consequences of committing a crime, right? All these different things that's going to be thrown out the window, okay? Because when this is the old saying that says desperate times call for desperate measures, right? And when people lose everything or when people have nothing to lose, they lose it, right? What do they lose? They lose their mind. They lose their sanity. Okay, they lose their their sense. All right, their senses. Their let's get some
Says
more words.
their self control.
There you
That's what it
go.
says. Incontinency shall increase. People are going to not be able to control themselves because when you're in that desperate mode and you're in that frantic mode, you're not thinking, strategically or logically. You're just thinking based off of, what you think is the best thing to do. But that's not based off of like, all right, let me plan this. So you start to lose control of over your actual strategic steps, and that's what really leads to a lot of people to being killed. That's why they say like you see these apocalyptic movies and things like that. It said the most it says most people within like the first 5-10 minutes they die because of how frantic they are. They just do irrational shit that if you were to just stop and think, maybe you shouldn't have did that, and you could have lived to the next scene. But nah, instead you want to run outside while you see mad fucking people just doing crazy shit, and you run out in the middle of the street and get hit by a bus. Well, you should have kept your ass inside. You'd have been all right. But that's because once again, people don't think. They want to react. There's going to be a lot of reaction, and that's what they're counting on. They're not counting on people thinking about what they're doing this time. They're just counting on people just reacting, and the reaction is what is going to be the snare that is going to get these people into taking the solution, which they got set up as the saving grace of the MOTB system.
Hey,
Um,
like they say that the true action is in the reaction. So there
there
you
you
go.
go. A little bit more here. It says Estonia, where a digital ID is created for every newborn child by assigning them a unique number, was raised as a potential model during the meeting. The number is used by parents to manage child benefits, healthcare records, and nursery applications online, while later in life it becomes an adult identification used to access public services. So you already had this type of digital ID system set up in different parts of the earth, right? Small countries, and I know like in Estonia, that's a very small country, so they use countries like that as pilot countries, to where they just adopt or implement certain ideas or certain things that they could see how it works, and then ultimately spread it out to the larger population. So I think over in Estonia, if I'm not mistaken, if that was a country, they don't even use passports like physical passports anymore. Everything is they already have the digital passports that they just now implemented over here in Babylon via Apple. But I think they already had that. If I'm not mistaken, it was them. Could be wrong, but I think they already had that those systems set up in their airports. So you got things like that over in Australia where they came out and said that they're going to, make hate speech laws to limit street preaching. So they make those type of laws in those areas, and then eventually they see how it goes there, and they adopt it into the greater Western societies, mainly making it over. It's way over here to Babylon the Great. But the thing is, over here in Babylon, it's going to be because you have the majority of Israel, the bulk of Israelites are over here. When that happens, and you have the majority of the elect over here in Babylon, when that happens, that's going to cause a major shift in the world, right? The Lord is going to shake up a lot of stuff once it touches here in America, because you, like I said, you have a lot of the elect over here in Babylon.
Hey, wanted to just add on to what you just said real quick. There's a part you read, the last paragraph you just read. At the second sentence, it says the number is used by parents to manage applications online, while later in life it becomes an adult identification used to access public services. Now, that is what is known as double speak, right? Because what they say, and I think a few paragraphs up, it talked about how all these things is to give you more control over your life, right? What they really mean is to give them more control over your life, right? But what they do is so clever, because right here they pretty much expose themselves, right? What they do is they say this shit right here, it gives parents the ability to manage, right? What are they managing though? Right? They're managing nursery applications online, right? They're managing what? Child benefits, healthcare records, right? These are things that Esau has digitized, right? So as a parent, they've created a platform where if you want to do child services, you have to actually use the apparatus that they've given you. You have to use the online services that they've given you. If not, you can't get no child benefits, right? If you want to even sign up for benefits, there used to be a time where you actually go to a building, fill up applications, all these different things. Nowadays, it's all done online. Okay, so what's the point of going to a building if the building doesn't exist? It's all online. If you go to the building, they'll tell you, oh, you have to go online and fill it out. What option do you have? You have to go online and fill it out. You see? So they've set it up that way. So now as a parent, you have to play along with the rules. You have to play along, you have to play the game with their rules. But they twist it and make it seem like it's something that you have power over, you have control over. But in reality is, no, this is the only option you have. So it's like, what's the control you're talking about? What's the power and ability to manage things that you're talking about when this is the only thing I can do in order to survive, right? So they twist it in that way. Like, look, by you taking the C hip, you give your life power. It's your identity now. It gives you access to go to work, and your Vanessa is here, and everything is convenient, right? It's your identity. You have power over your own identity now. Nobody can come and steal your wallet and now it's gone. No, you have the power over your identity. But reality is they have control and power over you. But they make you think, oh yeah, no, I have power. Yeah, that's what that's all witchcraft. All right. You don't fall for none of that shit. All right. All that double speaking shit, fuck all that. All right. What you guys are going?
I had something real, if I may. I wanted to just share the screen for 1 second just to show something in reference to what you had. So this is a website that I just Googled in 5 minutes and found it. And as you can see, this is for Switzerland, okay? And you see they have a whole website, okay? And it says here, pet, human, horse, livestock, fish, marine, industrial. And this is their plan. And as they mentioned, Estonia, they're gonna do it with the smaller countries first. There's another country. I'm gonna just switch the screen to this. And you say in Sweden, it says, yes, thousands of people in Sweden have voluntarily implanted tiny right-sized, C-hips under their skin, primarily between the thumb and forefinger, to use as digital keys, ID, and payment methods, replacing cards and tickets for things like gym access, office entry, train travel, and even purchases, leveraging NFC technology similar to contactless bank cards for convenience in a highly digital society. So they already done it. They already did it in Sweden. Now, these people in Sweden are a bunch of idiots, obviously. So it was much easier to do it to them, and also the smaller country. But when you go and they're trying to scale that up, scalability is a big thing, because this is all really just is a business for them, and the business is people's souls, and they want to try to scale it from a small country like Sweden. The biggest country in Europe by population, I think, is Germany, and then France and UK, two or three. I don't know the order exactly. I don't remember the order exactly, but they're going to scale it up to those countries. All right, and then the ultimate goal is to do it in America. All right. And that's why you see a lot of things about gun control and different things that they're trying to do, because they know that a lot of people are not going to be with this shit. All right. But people talking about that this is a sea theory, we just making this up, blah, blah, blah. It's already happening. All you got to do is do a little bit of research, but niggas don't like to research shit. So they're going to be most niggas, especially in these congregations like IUIC. They ain't looking things up. They're not getting into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of this. And also the fact that we're telling them, then they have a problem with it, because we're supposed to be the bum camp and the bumalites. But it's all right. You go ahead, and when the time comes, we're gonna see who was right and who was wrong. Because you got it.
Hey, Con, yep. Let me just finish this up. There we at. It says we hear a lot of parents having to fill out the same paper form hundreds of times. A government source said there's potential for voluntary use cases. In what age you'd start? That was the question under discussion. It would be a quick form of identification or proof of who you are, a login to get digital access to public services. Julia Lopez, Shadow Science Technology and Innovation Secretary, called the scheme a gimmick that has been rushed out without answering the most basic questions about privacy, scope, and control. And, that is something that is key, right? Because once again, they know they have but a short time. So they have to rush a lot of these things out now, right? And it's going to be tacky, right? For us, though, those that see what's going on, it's going to look really tacky. It's going to look like, it's going to look very plain. And this is why the Lord, told us to watch. But for a lot of people that are not watching, right, they're not seeing how tacky it looks. They're not seeing how rushed out it is. And they're going to, just because of the type of scenario, whatever black swan event that is going to happen, they're going to be such in a disarray that they're just going to look for the quickest and easiest solution that is available, which will be adopting the MOTB system. But we're seeing how rushed it looks, or how unstable and just real, like I said before, tacky everything all looks. But that's because he has a short time. It says, she said the digital ID should be voluntary, limited, and built around consent. It should never force people into a single system just to live their everyday lives. Now, once again, what did John see? A system, right? That was single, that caused everybody to take a charagma in their hand or in their foreheads in order to buy and sell, in order to be a part of the system, right? Your normal societal daily life. So her saying this, it should never force people into a single system. That is exactly what they're setting up, a digital ID that does force everybody into a single system in order to live their everyday lives. It says, if Starmar wants to improve his dismal popularity, he should drop this idea now. because voters don't want a government issued digital pass for daily life. They don't trust labor to keep it within bounds once it's built. And it's not. It's not going to be keeping bounds. The bounds is what they're actually setting up right now. A government spokesman said the only mandatory area of the program will be for digital right to work checks. Only people starting a new job will need to use the scheme. It's funny they use the word scheme because I think that's the same word where it speaks about in the Greek methodia or schema for I think it was devices, if I'm not mistaken, in the Greek. I could be wrong though. But this is a scheme, right? Let me see what this word scheme goes into. A large systematic plan or arrangement for attaining a particular object or putting a particular idea into effect. A secret or underhanded plan. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a scheme, man. But we are not ignorant of his schemes and his devices. Hey, when that happens, take that off. Yeah, we're not ignorant of his schemes, man. And this is why the Lord told us to put on a whole armor of the Lord so that we can stand against the wiles of the devil. But if your brother got anything else, con. So, we're going to close it out with that. Lord willing, this was once again edifying unto the elect. Right. In closing, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem B'Kah Kodash. Till next time, shalom to the elect.